As part of We the People, celebrating 250 years, here's this day in history.
All right, there's that flute from the Revolutionary War. You know what
Yes.
that means?
Yes, they dug that one up.
The countdown is on to America's
250 years
250th.
ago.
I know. It's been around for a long time,
It's an
right?
old flute, still works though.
Let's do it. We're doing We the People series right now. Charlie, what do we got for today on this January 7th?
All right, today is January 7th, and back in 1901, Robert Marion La Follette was inaugurated as governor of Wisconsin. He was the first Wisconsin-born governor to serve in the position. La Follette was born in 1855, hailing from Primrose Township here in Dane County. He graduated from the University of Wisconsin in 1879.
He's got great hair.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at
Slick
that.
back.
Whew.
Yeah. He started out as a district attorney, was later elected to Congress in 1884, became known for speaking out against crooked politicians across the state after refusing a bribe to fix a court case against a former Wisconsin official. La Follette would run for governor as a Republican and was elected in November of 1900. Some of his accomplishments include pushing to implement primary elections. La Follette would resign the governorship in 1905 and was elected to the U.S. Senate the next year. The former Wisconsin governor also had an unsuccessful run for president as an independent in 1924. He received almost 5 million votes, but lost to Calvin Coolidge. That's this day in history for January 7th.
Yeah, the La Follette name, you know, obviously big in Wisconsin politics for years to come, even after him.
Yes, I know some of his descendants also became governor.
Yep, you got La Follette High School just up the road here as well.
A lot of things named after those
right.
La Follettes.
All right, Charlie, thank you for that.